Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bob Dylan deep dive. Um, we're into the 70s, and for the first time since I think the debut, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the first time since the debut where it's an album that I've never heard before. Of course, I'm talking about the 24 song double album Self Portrait. Controversial, um, for many reasons. And I'm just going to get it out of the way quick. This is one of the most bizarre albums I've ever heard in terms of construction. The music itself mostly is fairly conventional. There's just a couple of choices in the sequencing, in the recordings, just really bizarre. But I may be playing a little bit of devil's advocate perhaps for this album. So I'm excited to get into it. Yeah, 70s. I was intrigued. Of the 70s albums, I know New Morning, Blood on the Tracks, and Desire, and Street Legal. Those are the ones I know. So I started this album not really knowing what to expect. I was expecting to sort of bridge the gap between Nashville Skyline and New Morning. And then you open on All the Tide Horses, which is incredibly out there. The orchestration is pretty nice, but yeah, definitely a statement to start the album on from Bob there. He doesn't even sing on it. It's really strange. And then you get straight into Alberta number one, which is actually a pretty nice song. It's all got this country vibe. There are a few songs on here that feel like they were recorded. I think they were recorded around the time of Nashville Skyline, but they have that sound where he's doing a bit more of that country croon, and it's got those sort of arrangements with the banjo and stuff like that. So Alberta number one is really good. I Forgot More Than You Will Ever Know is pretty much sounds like a Nashville Skyline outtake. It's pretty unassuming. It's fine, but it doesn't really stand out. Days of 49, which is considered by many to be the best on the album. I'm not entirely sold on it. Nowhere near his most intriguing lyrics, and musically, it's a bit bleh. So I'm not so hot on that one. However, his cover of Gordon Lightfoot's Early Morning Rain is an absolute gem. The arrangement is so light and breezy, and Dylan's vocal is so glorious. Almost gives me like Harry Nilsson vibes in the arrangement, which is really cool. It has that just sort of unassuming, breezy vibe that Gordon Lightfoot did so well. And so it makes sense that it was his song originally. And then this is the thing I mean about the sequencing. Not only do you start on a song that Dylan doesn't even sing on, Early Morning Rain, which is fantastic. Then you get In Search of Little Sadie, which is so lousy and just haphazard and half-assed. The chord progression in the first part is really bad. Like it's it's just not good. The second part is better, but it's still quite the come down of the previous song. And then you go straight into Let It Be Me, which is a lovely tune to start side two. I love the guitar flourishes throughout it, and it has this like really dreamy atmosphere, which I really like. So as you can tell already, this is going to be a mixed bag of quality, and that is going to carry on throughout the album. Um, Little Sadie, unlike its partial namesake, is pretty enjoyable. It's sort of cute, which is not something you describe many Bob Dylan songs as being. A bit of the ukulele in there, I think. Um, it's not that substantial though, and even less substantial is Woogie Boogie. It's just a nothing instrumental. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just there. Then you get Belle Isle, which I really love. I think the string arrangement on it's fantastic. I love when Bob does that sort of cheesy romantic style, which he would really go into a bit more on New Morning. Um, Living the Blues is pretty cool. Not great, but pretty enjoyable. And then you get the live version of Like a Rolling Stone with the band, which sounds like Dylan trying to do Like a Rolling Stone in the style of the band. It's got this sort of like rootsy sound. It's a lot slower. It's I have no idea why it's here. It's not terrible, but it's completely unnecessary. And then straight into Copper Kettle, which to me is the best song on the album. Another example of the completely bizarre sequencing choices, as if it was random, which it probably was. Love that song. So dreamy, so beautiful. It's almost sort of baroque, which is not something you expect to hear from Bob Dylan. So that's kind of the side of this album that I really love is this idea of Bob just doing whatever he wants, throwing everything at the wall. It's sort of his I Don't Give a Shit album, and that obviously comes with pros and cons, but those kind of albums I usually do enjoy because I enjoy a nice eclectic mix of an artist just branching out and doing styles they wouldn't normally do, and hearing him do covers of these songs of some of these songs is really cool too. Um, Got to Travel On, really fun romp. Again, fast paced delivery in the chorus is really fun. It's like Bob trying new things, engaging in different vibes. Not sure I ever thought that I needed a Bob Dylan cover of Blue Moon, but it's actually pretty nice. Unlike his cover of The Boxer, which is absolutely atrocious, definitely the worst song up to this point, and is one of the greatest songs of all time. Simon and Garfunkel, of course, had a song on Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, which is sort of making fun of Bob Dylan. Whether this is another fourth time around, I'm not so sure. But the vocal harmonies being out of sync with each other, so bad, just so bad. The only good thing about it is that I think it's cool that he did harmonies of his like Nashville Skyline voice and his more husky voice. That's kind of a cool idea. It's a shame that everything else about this cover is pretty much irredeemable. So terrible song, terrible version, I should say. Quinn the Eskimo, pretty good. I'm not over the moon with it, but the guitar solo in that song is so awesome. Another live recording. Take Me As I Am or Let Me Go sounds like it would be right at home on Nashville Skyline. Really nice steel guitar, and of course that croon is back. Take a Message to Mary is great too, as this cool barroom piano, which I really like. It Hurts Me Too, it's fine. Minstrel Boy, throwaway live track no one asked for. And then you get another live version of one of Dylan's songs, She Belongs to Me, just covering all my favorite 1965 Dylan songs, it seems. This is the real massacre of one of Dylan's classics here. Just crap, utter crap. But the album ends strong. Wigwam is great. Knew It Already from the Royal Tenenbaums. Another bizarre song for Bob, but he pulls it off so well. And then another version of Alberta to close the album, probably the only good sequencing choice throughout it. So I really tried to blitz through that because I want to keep these videos fairly short, and there's 24 songs to get through. It's such a beast to unpack, but honestly, I think it's quite overhated and overlooked. It's definitely not my least favorite up to this point. Around half the album is great, I would say, and only one or two truly terrible songs out of 24. I do love a good, wildly eclectic Throw Ideas at the Wall double album, like I said, and I think this is a good example of that. It's perhaps going to be my most controversial placement to date, but I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I like it in terms of my score, but we'll get to where I'm going to rank it in a bit. As you can see, I've had to split the track ratings up into 2 screenshots, which is pretty funny because there are so many songs. But as mentioned, worst song, The Boxer, but I also wasn't that big on Minstrel Boy, Woogie Boogie, and Such Little Sadie or She Belongs to Me. And then my favorite, like I said, Copper Kettle, but I also really love Early Morning Rain and Belle Isle, and plenty of other songs that get the 8 out of 10 score. So, like I said, over half the album gets an 8. So I probably like this more than most people. 7 out of 10, like I said, which places it at 7th out of the 10 albums done so far. Yes, ahead of Another Side of Bob Dylan and John Wesley Harding. I just think this is a more exciting listen. I think the highs are almost as high as those albums, maybe higher than on John Wesley Harding, not quite as high as Another Side of Bob Dylan, but it's just so much cool stuff on the album. Even if there are some bizarre choices and some songs I never want to hear again, I probably would listen to them and laugh at them in the context of listening to the album. It's a fun listen. What can I say? So if you also think that Self Portrait is overhated, let me know down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the album. Thank you, everybody, for joining along in the series. We're picking up some nice viewers with the last 2 episodes, so hopefully we can carry that into the 70s. Hopefully you're in it for the long haul. Like the video and subscribe if you haven't, and hopefully I will catch you soon.